This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Johnny, you know what? I've used you like an absolute whore this lockdown period, haven't I?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking, you know, when you first started doing this Zoom, I remember me and you on the phone, and you said, how's this work? What do I press? How do you record this? How's that? What's this for? Now, you're just like, ping, 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 on it with your long hair.
I know, I'm in need of a haircut, but I think I've got to wait at least another month before
Get a ponytail.
What?
Just put it into a ponytail or braid it. Just braid it.
What age did you lose your hair? What age? How old were you?
I never actually lost it. This is voluntary. I never actually lost it.
Why are you lying? When did you start going?
Well, I was doing a show once at your call, and I thought I was the only one that could say I was thinning, and it was a live show, and I got a ping ping on my phone, and I looked at the phone. It was James Cook. He said, "Johnny, you're clearly going bald. I can see it. You need to cut that off." And on live on television, you know. So this time I've got the shiny bit there, and the thin bit there, and then all this has gone back to there. So, and I'm live on screen, and like I'm carrying on doing the show, and then I look back down again, texting back, wanker. Then James Cook. So every time I see him now, I said, "You messed up my hair." I think I knew I was going to be bald by the time. Once I met my dad, because my dad, like, I want to see what he looked like, and the guy's like, good-looking guy, got blue eyes. The guy looks, but he's bald there, and so I thought, damn it. So I knew I was going thin. My late 30s, so back end of my career, I could just tell. And then before I thought that's off, coming off, it actually suits me. But I actually, if I wanted to, I could grow afro if I wanted to.
Why didn't you just use the lockdown as an experiment period for your hair and just see what would have happened if you just?
I look like some sick. I look like some sick prisoner, honestly, because it grows like Mickey Mouse, like that. It grows there and there, there. So. That's how it goes, like that.
Prisoner.
But listen, this lockdown's worked well for me, man. I'm tidying up, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. Well, I'm a great gardener. Working out. I seen Dylan the other day. He looks trim in Portugal, but I tell you now, I think I could give him a run for his money.
Yeah. Nice.
18 stone now, you know.
Is that what you are? 18 stone?
I can't believe it. I think it's lockdown, Lord. 18 stone. It'll go in a bit. I just lose it. It's just a midsection. I'm a bit bloated midsection. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know if it's those.
I'm not trying to big you up or anything, but I'm assuming that's 18 stone of like relative muscle.
Yeah, all right there, but just there, it's just like, I think I found an intolerance. I don't think it's tomatoes. They're blowing me up in my stomach. I love tomatoes. So I've just done an intolerance test just to see what it is that's blowing me up. We'll
how have you been keeping it other than that? You all good? Family all good?
All good, all good. I think hopefully you'll have seen yesterday, I put a little thing out on my Instagram, you know, about all this shit that's going on in America, which is so sad to see something like that. And Brendan always said to us, he said, never discuss sex, politics or religion. Keep out a lot of them, and that it was nothing political, but I just saw, you know, we've seen so many things happen, and not just in the States, we see it all over the world, but we don't say anything. So I'm from up north, and we know that when you go down south, put it this way, the first time I went down south, down to London, I worked in Brixton Market with my brother on a suitcase store, and this woman was walking, and she had a shopping trolley, and these two guys about my age, because I was about 15, and they were stealing the stuff out of their trolley. Like, she looked like my mum. She's stealing stuff out of the trolley. But all the market traders were just watching them. Nobody's saying nothing. Now, we don't do that shit up north. So I'm like, and everybody's seeing them doing it, stealing it out, stealing the stuff out, actually walking, stopping and stealing stuff out. But people, adults, were seeing these kids stealing stuff out of the kids were about my age. So I went, "Oh, what are you doing?" And they looked up, the woman turned around, and they ran off. But they ran around the back of the block inside Brixton Market, and they came back round the back of where we were, and they got a screwdriver, pinned me up against the wall with a screwdriver. I went, "Yo, what are you doing?" And everybody's there watching, you know. what are you doing? He said, listen, you don't do that. They could tell with the accent wasn't from there. He said, you don't do that down here. You're lucky. And they went, but nobody did anything. And so, and we know that when you go down south, people think, oh, keep out of trouble. They'll walk past stuff happening to people. They'll step over somebody or walk around somebody that's in a bit of drama, something like that. They don't want to get involved. I don't get it. I think, where's your compassion? Where's your human nature? I understand nobody wants to get themselves in trouble, but you know, when you pretend you don't see things. So this stuff in America, when you see it again, I'm thinking, why do people think, why is it acceptable? Why not? No, it's not acceptable. But why would this cop think he could do such a thing on camera in broad daylight? Never mind doing it at all. I just think I'm bewildered. And it's got to a point where people are, cops or officials, are so used to getting away with stuff. You'll get a bit of heat for a few days and it'll go. So now what's happening now in America? When that happened and they didn't reprimand and deal with this guy automatically, I said, that's irresponsible on both sides, because what's going to happen is there's going to be backlash. What about the other cops? What about the good cops? There's going to be backlash. One cop's just been run over. Now, I'm not saying I'm on the side of the cop, because I'm not. What I'm saying is what's wrong is wrong. End of story. But what I'm saying is common sense would tell you, deal with this thing, deal with it correctly. And they say, you know, the force have bad apples. Yeah, I understand, but they shouldn't have bad apples. They shouldn't. I think Chris Rock said something like, it's like saying a pilot, you know, I don't know, BA to say, yeah, we have a few bad apples, so some planes might not land. You can't afford to have a bad apple if you're a cop. Deal with them. You know what I mean? So, and to me, I just think it's sad, it's sick. I'm glad people are seeing this. Unfortunately, it's at the hands of somebody's life, but this ain't new. This ain't the first time it's happened this week in America. Never mind this month. Never mind this year. It's the first time something like this has been caught on camera. So people have got to say something, saying no, that's just proper no. So unfortunately, what's happening in America now is this is on Donald Trump's watch. Now he's got to say the right thing and do the right thing. Unfortunately, he's not. And so, what representation is that of America? What representation of that is it of race relations out there in America? So you can understand the attitude of young blacks growing up, not just young blacks, black people in America. You can understand the attitude. You can understand the hatred. You can understand the disdain for authority when things like this are happening, and it's ignored. It's just wrong, man. But people have got to say something. People have got to speak out to say, we see you. We know what you're doing. You know, it's not acceptable.
I read, I'm sure you would have seen the quote as well. I think it was from Will Smith, and he said that racism isn't getting worse, it's getting filmed.
Yeah.
And it is so true, isn't it? I mean,
it is. But I think now people are more educated now. So the amount of times I've been asked from white people what my thoughts are on this, or if I ever feel, do I ever feel like a minority? Do I ever feel? And I'm asked this question. I'm thinking, isn't it strange? Something like this is making people all of a sudden think, well, why is it acceptable? Why are these things happening? Because there's no other reason. There's no other excuse. It's because he's black, because the cop thought he could get away with it. So now people are all of a sudden thinking, wow. The difference is, I'll stand out in a crowd of white people because I'm black. If you're Irish, you won't stand out. You know, Brendan, and he said when he first came to Sheffield, on the pubs, it said no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. He said we were even below the dogs. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is attitudes have changed slowly but surely. But unfortunately, it's taken horrific events like this for people to sit up and say, no, this can't happen. People have got away with it too long. It can't happen. And it's sad. It's just really sad.
When was the last time, do you believe, that you were subject to any form of racism, whether directly or indirectly? And I'm not talking about social media as such, because I was called a packy on a live Instagram the other day. So that social media, I'm not saying it's acceptable for social media, but that allows certain individuals to kind of do these kind of things when 20 years ago they didn't have that opportunity to go on an Instagram live and call someone a Paki or whatever. When's the last time you felt like you were subject to any kind of racism?
You know what? Again, this is another explanation I've had. As a young man growing up, and most black people of my age will get this. Your parents, you've got to be 2 steps ahead, maybe 3 steps ahead, because if something happens straight away, my mom used to say straight away they're going to look at you because they're going to think black people are this, that, and the other. So you got to check yourself. You got to make sure you don't react in a way that is not natural, but you don't react in a way that fits into the stereotype. So you've got to always check yourself. An incident happened this year where I had to explain the possible consequences of this. I can't talk about it. The possible consequences of a certain thing happening because you'd look at me, a big 6'3" black man, you'd think, that's right. And I had to, and it wasn't a racist situation, but I had to say, this is what it could lead to. You've got to be aware. You've got to understand. And the reason why I say this is because I've seen it happen in the past. So I've always had, and I've had to have that discussion to say, look, if this is not dealt with correctly, this is what it will lead to. Because as a young black man growing up, I've seen this. I've seen it happen many, many occasions. My worst scenario, and it has happened, and my worst case scenario, and I've told the story before, me and my friend, we used to hire nightclubs and put events on. And I always name and shame this. I don't know the guy's name. I always name and shame this guy. The club was Stars in Sheffield. It was next to the ice skating rink. But this is an historical happening, because when I first went to the ice skating rink, I was about 15, 14 years old. There's me and a bunch of white guys there, and I thought I'd try ice skating. I can't ice skate, man. And the day had finished, I put my boots in. When you put your boots in, they give you shoes back, yeah? So the manager of the place, I'm waiting there. I said, can I have my shoes? He said, you have to wait, you've got no ticket. I'm like, my shoes are there, I've just given you the boots. He went, can't see your ticket, you have to wait. Everybody left. And I'm still waiting there, and I'm thinking, this guy wants me to jump, so I get in trouble. Everybody left. This guy walked through it. It was empty, they're switching the lights out. My man's cleaning the ice. You know, the cleaner was there. She seen what he was doing. My man left. She gave me my shoes. She said, sorry about it, love. I'm thinking, why you singled me out? I was pissed off. You know what I did? When I got outside, I phoned the police and said the manager's trapped a kid in his office. He won't let him out. And then that was it, just to give him a bit of shit. Anyway, years later, I go to the club next door to hire the club. When I go into the club, when I phone up, I say, I want to hire the club to put an event. He said, oh yeah, what kind of event do you want to put on? I said, a bit of R&B, you know, a bit of lovers rock. We do them on all the city. He said, all right, come down. Something about 1, 2 o'clock in the daytime. So I thought, there's 2 of us, but I said, I'll go down, I'll do the talk. Got a jacket on, had a little briefcase on, and walked inside the place. 2 o'clock, you got 2 big bouncers on the door. I'm like, Ross, the place is empty. What's he got bouncers for? As I walked in the office, my man's got his head down, he's doing something at his desk, like you can see the top of my head. I went, how you doing? I'm Johnny Nelson. He went, no problem, mate, sit down. He's running away. And he said, go on, what do you want? And so I said, well, I'm explaining to him, I'm giving him the spiel. This is going to be the event. We're going to have DJs, blah, blah, blah. People come from out of town. Went, yeah. He said, let me stop you there, son. He said, I've got a bit of a problem. I said, what's that? He said, well, you've got black people and you've got niggers. You know, niggers with all the dreadlocks and stinky hair and everything. And I'm like, he said, so that kind of music attracts them kind of people. I don't fucking like him because, and this guy, I'm like, Ross, I'm like thinking, is this real? And so he said, so I don't really want that kind of music in his clubs, but good luck. So I'm sat there looking, thinking, I want to use the C word. And I'm thinking, Ross, now, all this, remember, I'm from the gym of a multicultural gym. And Brendan always says, sticks and stones, man, you've got to hold it down, because if you react in the way they want you to react, people are not going to talk about why you're acting the way you're acting. They're going to talk about your reaction. And I'm sat there, I thought, I was just so angry. I went, no problem. Stood up. As you stood up, the chair on the floor. Door bust open. Them 2 bouncers coming on the door. So I know it's a setup now. I know these things are set up. Door open, bouncer stood there as though they must have thought I'd just gone for the guy. And I turned around and I just shook my head and I walked out. So years have gone on, that's second encounter. Years have gone on now, I've got a bit of a name in Sheffield. There's some event going on in Sheffield at Sheffield City Hall, and I'm invited as a guest of honour to do a talk. And yo, shut up, no man. I'm invited to do a talk as guest of honour. So I'm a bit late. I'm not usually late. Anyway, so they're all there and everything. They're all on stage. As I walked in, all these top businessmen from Sheffield are there. He's one of them. Yes, So I got on stage, he was clapping, walking through, shook the hand, got to him. I got his hand and I pulled him towards me. I said, listen to it. I remember who you are, and I know you know who I am. If you're here by the time I get to the end of this queue, I'm going to tell everybody who you are. I'm squeezing the fuck out of his hand on stage. He's packed out, you know. I said, I'm going to tell everybody exactly who you are right here on this stage. Karen, smiling, get to the end of the queue. As I got there, I turned round, and my man is walking. He's come off the stage, and he's walking up the side of the City Hall, and he's pushing a girl in a wheelchair, and his bum is gone. He did, and he knew. I thought, I've got you. And every time I get the chance, I tell that story. And I thought to myself, and even the stupid man in me thought, why would he be like that? Why would he be so ignorant? You know, I don't know if it was his disabled daughter or whatever. I thought, why would you be so, excuse my French, fucked up for years? And it's not a mistake. It's not that you're a nasty guy. It's a black thing. And that was the one thing that stands. There's many other things that stands out, but that's the one thing that stood out. And this guy was in a position of authority. This guy was a businessman. But for every time that you got the chance, I don't know who else he used to fuck, but he used to fuck me every time I saw him. And so when you see things like this, and you've got to deal with it, when I tell this story to people, people are like, oh, but it happened. You know, and I'm quite sure there's worse case scenarios that have happened to other people. I'm quite sure that have involved violence that have involved, you know, persecuted. I'm quite sure now in today. So when I see shit like that, I think, why are people so bad? You know, and I'm not talking. I'm talking about the cop that was there. Now the way the public are reacting now, they're angry. They've had enough. Yeah, you've got an element that's going to take advantage of this. It's not acceptable because it dilutes the message of saying, look, we don't like what you're doing now. Now, it gives Donald Trump every excuse to ignore the message and start talking about the looters, the small minority that are giving a hassle. I have CNN on my TV all the time now. I'm watching it, and I've seen a black reporter doing his job on what's happening out there. There was a white reporter who worked for CNN down the end of the road. They arrested a black reporter live on screen, cuffed him up and cuffed his crew with him, and then said he wasn't complying with. I can't remember what the excuse was, but it was all on screen. So if they're going to lie about him on camera, can you imagine what shit actually happens? It's not, but people have got to speak up. I don't mean react in a violent way, erecting and ignorate. You've got to out people. You've got to not ignore things when you see something's not right. Because unfortunately, I bet you, where you live now, do you know your neighbours?
Sort of.
Do you talk to your neighbours? Because I know in London, you can live in London and you don't even speak to your neighbours. People don't speak to their neighbours. People don't talk to each other. I'm like, what is that about?
There's a few houses. I've lived here for like nearly 4 years, and there's probably about 3 or 4 houses we'd have loose conversation if I walked out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it's attitudes need to change. When I'm in the Sky office down in London, I speak to everybody. Because I think, just be cool. You don't have to be, and because people are so uptight, thinking the worst, or thinking I've got their own shit to get on with. Human nature has changed, man. And Brendan always said, never be surprised by human nature. You know, never be surprised. But it's up to us to change it individually. I will treat people how I would expect them to treat me. Even if they don't treat me right, I will treat people how I expect them to treat me.
Mm. Okay, Johnny, let's talk a little bit about boxing. Yeah, this is just a crazy few days regarding this, and it seems to be ongoing, like the aftermath of it. So hopefully it does quieten down and just the message left from all this is lasting, because this is what happens, isn't it? Something happens, people talk about it for a period of time, it stops, then it happens again in a couple of years. Do you remember that guy, Mark Duggan from North London?
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 years ago. Which
How long has it been?
Yeah, I think so. It was roughly
Tottenham Court Road.
211, I think. Led to the Tottenham riots. But yeah, in America, this seems to be happening
too often. Yeah, I say that too often, and that's what I'm
saying.
Once
it's too often, you know. So,
and so that's on. It's happening too often. So unfortunately, things have to change. They will hopefully change, but it will happen again and again. You know, until somebody, you know, this has to be dealt with correctly.
Right, let's talk a little bit about boxing. Obviously, we can see some light at the end of the tunnel regarding shows coming up. Obviously, Top Rank again next week, actually, with Shakur Stevenson. But for us here in the UK, we're looking at a July return. Obviously, Matchroom saying that they're going to start on the 25th of July with their first show. Wait and see what Frank Warren has got planned as well. But yeah, looking forward to kind of getting back into it, Johnny.
Yeah, definitely. We had a team meeting as well, and it was pretty positive in regards to it. Potentially, is going to be pretty busy after this month. Which, you know what, I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing some boxing again. I don't know how logistically they'll have us all, the situation, how we'll deal with it. But as long as it's back, as long as we can see it on our screens, as long as remember, fighters are not like footballers where you're getting paid every week no matter what. Fighters, that's their living. You know, they ain't getting nothing else. That's how they make their money. So I'm not talking like the guys are like Anthony Joshua, Dylan White are making mad money and they could live off one fight for the year or however long it is. I'm talking the undercard of fighters where they've got to make a living. They've got to live off that crust. And you can't predict when you'd fight again. So again, I always love the story when fighters are making money, because I know how hard it is. I always love the opportunity fighters get, because I know how hard it is, and I know usually historically fighters are the one that end up broke, punch drunk, homeless, and so now the shows are back on. I'm thinking about that undercard. I'm thinking everybody getting working and everybody getting back into action again. I'm thinking also about fighters getting chances that they never had before, because now it's a leveler where everybody's been more or less on lockdown, apart from the one of the elite two or three. But everybody's on a lockdown, so fighters now can't say I didn't have enough warning. I didn't know. Nobody gave me enough time, because all you can do at home is eat, train, take over. So now everybody's about training that as well as that.